What is up, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new Salamangreat deck profile for the November 2019 format. Really excited to share with you guys my list. It's a bit different than most lists. I'm actually playing Pyro Phoenix in my list. I think it's a really cool card, and actually can steal games in of its own right with that burn effect, and is actually very potent against some matchups, being able to just quick play wipe your opponent's board. Card definitely has some potential. Does it warrant to be in all decks for a highly competitive level? Yet to be determined, probably not, but this is just my take on the build for this month, and I hope you guys enjoy. And before we go ahead and get into the profile, I want to mention a quick shout out to our sponsors over at Imperium Duelist. If you're interested in picking up any of these sleeves or this playmat that I'm using, you can find it all on their website down below, and a discount code that you can use to save 10% off your entire order. And lastly, if you're picking up anything off of TCG Player, be a reminder to use my affiliate link down in the description below as well. Anything you buy using that link, I'll receive a small portion of the revenue from your purchase through TCG Player using that link down below. So yeah, don't forget to use that if you want to help support me in the process of just normally using TCG Player. So yeah, there's a couple options down there for you guys if you want to help support the channel. Subscribing on Twitch is also helpful as well. But yeah, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the profile. And to start with the monster lineup here, it's pretty simple. Just 3 Salamangreat Foxy, pretty standard for most Salamangreat lists. A pretty good starter on its own. It has the ability to, you can normal summon it without even using its effect if the rest of your hand is good. Link it off for Baylings, and then, special summon it back with the field spell up and just continue to make plays from there. Then we have 3 copies of Salamangreat Spinny. This card, of course, good extender for your Mirage Stalio play, so I think 3 is great as well. 3 copies of Flame Buffalo. Again, this card is necessary evil now with the deck the way it is, with its best consistency cards being hit to 1. Cards like Gazelle, cards like Circle, even Lady Debug. You just need this card to dig into more cards and, have a better play. Then 1 Foul, 1 Falco, and 1 Jack Jaguar. I was playing 2 Jack Jaguar for a little while, but I decided to cut it down to 1 because I think 2 was just bricking a little bit. I kept seeing that second Jack Jaguar in my hand a little too much. Falco is actually a card that I'm beginning to like more and more, especially with playing Transcendence for the Pyro Phoenix play. Just because to be able to get that back or set your field spell back, like this card is just really underrated, I think. 1 Gazelle and 1 Lady Debug and 1 Sea Archiver. You could probably play 2 Sea Archiver. I'm just playing 1 for now. Lady Debug is a card that I see some builds have dropped, but I think the extra searcher for consistency's sake is a good call, at least in my opinion. So that's it for all the Salamangreat monsters, all the cyber stuff, really. Now we'll head into the hand traps, of course. What would a Salamangreat deck be without hand traps? Then we have 3 copies of Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. I feel like most decks should be playing this card right now. Whether you go first or second, like the ability to fix bad hands and just get a body on board to be able to make plays with during your turn. To have that built-in protection, like, yeah, it sucks this card is so expensive, and hopefully it gets a reprint soon. But like, I think this card is, from a competitive standpoint, pretty necessary to play in most builds. Then I have 2 copies of Ash and then 2 copies of DD Crow. I didn't want to just play 3 Ash and nothing else. I think DD Crow is really good against Orcust. I think a lot of people could agree with that. And this deck, I feel like, struggles against Orcust a lot. I feel like that's probably one of its harder matchups. So DD Crow definitely helps there. It can also be pretty good in Thunder, against Thunder anyways. So yeah, that's it for the monsters. Now we'll head into the spells. And to start for the spells, we have 3 copies of Signet Mining. The budget deck that became not so budget after the Lady Debug hit. And then they're like, here's a really shiny searcher that you guys can use instead. But yeah, 3 Signet Mining. It's a must at 3. Then a card that I feel like you have to play at 3, but just I hate the fact that we have to play it at 3, is 3 Will, the Salamangreat. Basically, Monster Born, it can just make really bad hands playable, but at the same time can also make those bad hands worse when you open multiple copies of these, and they just clog up your hand and you can't do anything about it. Like, I might go back to 2 with this card, but I don't know. 3 seems okay with the circumstances that we have with this deck right now. Then we have 1 Sanctuary, 1 Circle, and 1 Transcendence. I like Transcendence for a couple reasons. It's a quick play. Two, it also allows you to go into Pyro Phoenix during your opponent's turn, which makes it extremely potent, just to board wipe them on their turn. You can also link. You could also quick play Link into another Heat Leo to bounce set cards back. Like, there's a lot of cool things you can do with this card. Or make a Sunlight Wolf live, or dodge things. Like, it has a lot of uses outside of just for Pyro Phoenix, but this card definitely not necessary. Again, this is just sort of my personal take on the deck for this this month. Definitely wanted to try and incorporate Pyro Phoenix in some way, shape, or form. Then for the other spells, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Pot of Desires, 1 Upstart Goblin, and 1 Foolish Burial. All pretty good cards to have in here. Playing 1 Desires for now because I think 2 would just be, like, I don't want to banish a lot of the cards in here. I don't want to banish my Gazelle. I don't want to banish my Circle. Yes, can you play without them? You can, but not optimal. And then the last cards we have in the deck are some Traps, which are 2 copies of Roar. You got to play it. I was playing 2 Rage, but I cut it down to 1 just so I could fit some other things in here. Cards like 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. So we do have a lot of hand traps. This card can be, of course, versatile. If I have to go first, I can set it, and do things with it there. And if I have to go second, I can just use it to go into already established boards to try to break them. Yes, it can conflict with Phantasme, but most of the times you're going to be going first anyways. So it's just extra interruption. Yeah, so that's it for the main deck. Now we'll go into the extra deck, which is where we'll show off that beautiful Pyro Phoenix. We have 3 copies of Balinks, standard. Still 3 copies of Sunlight Wolf, of course. You gotta max out on a lot of these, obviously. Then the 1 Heat Leo with the other Heat Leo, of course, need those. And then 2 copies of Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix. Yes, I found room for me personally. But yeah, just 2 fire effect monsters. And this card is Link Summon. Using Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix as material, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. And you can only use each of the following effects of Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix once per turn. And the other effects are, you can target 1 Link monster to your opponent's graveyard, special summon to your opponent's field. And then if a Link monster or monster is a special summon to your opponent's field, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. So, even if you just leave this card up during their turn and they make a Link, you can just burn them for however much attack it had. Which in some cases, it can steal the game. Because I find a lot of times Salamangreat is like, turn 3 Salamangreat is like extremely hard to pilot. And sometimes it can be difficult to OTK, given like a Mirage Stalio locking you into certain cards, certain monsters like fire effects. But like this card can you can make a push, try to deal a lot of damage, and then whatever you can't finish up, you can just burn them with Pyro Phoenix that same turn. So it kind of takes the pressure off of needing to OTK, and it kind of gets you into a big boss monster that's also a fire monster. So you don't have to worry about not being able to go into Borreload or something. So like if you make that initial push turn 3, you can just later on link into this and then summon out any link that you may have cleared and then maybe burn for 2 or 25, and that could just essentially be game. And then if it isn't, you have that Transcendence to follow up with and just to blow up their whole push next turn. And then I have 1 Hita the Fire Charmer, 1 Borreload, and that's it for the links. Again, you could play Update and Transcode. Again, I'm just like, if you want to play Update and Transcode, easily just drop the Pyro Phoenix. If you don't want to play them, totally understandable. Again, this is just my take on the deck for November. And then lastly, we have 1 Dweller and 2 copies of Mirage Stalio, because just losing one of these to a called by is just too bad to happen. Like, you just need this card to make plays the next turn, especially if they clear the first one that you usually end on in your normal combo. To be able to have a second one to go into is nice because you don't have to worry about recycling this with Jack Jaguar if there's better cards you need to recycle. So yeah, that is that. Now we'll go ahead and do a test hand and combo. I'll show you guys a quick combo that just gets into the Pyro Phoenix, and then we'll just do a normal test hand just to show you guys, for those that don't know already, just sort of the basic operations of the deck in a nutshell. So we'll go ahead and get ready for that. All right, so this combo is going to end us on having a board wipe and a negate to follow up with a Gazelle still left in hand for any for when we Transcendence them. So yeah, basically you're just going to require like Gazelle and Foxy. You could also use Spinny here, doesn't make too big of a difference. and then just a copy of Roar or Rage, because this will help back up the board even more. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this now. Normally, like turn 1, if my resources are really good, I won't go for Pyro Phoenix. I'll just go for a standard play. I usually go for Pyro Phoenix later on in like turn 3, so keep that in mind. But this is just like a quick access way to get to it. Just with these set of cards here, you can use it with just these, but having a Roar to back it up is really nice because that'll help give you more protection. So we'll start with Foxy. We won't use its effects, and we'll just link it off and do a copy of Balinks. And then we'll activate Balink's effect here to go ahead and add the field spell. If I can go ahead and find that. And we'll just do that. And then we'll use Foxy's effect once we place the field spell to summon himself back out. Also want to make sure you summon the Gazelle after you link off that Foxy. And dump the Salamangreat Transcendence to the graveyard. And then from this point, we'll go ahead and overlay into a copy of Mirage Stalio. We'll go ahead and detach that Gazelle. And we're going to go for the Jack Jaguar here. You could also go for Falco, but Jack Jaguar is just going to work a little bit better. Then we'll link these off into a copy of Sunlight Wolf, of course, as you might expect. Then we'll link this off again for a Sunlight Wolf. You could be safe to kind of split up your Sunlight Wolves into multiple effects. So here we could Gazelle or Jack Jaguar this back into the deck, and then add back, and then link this off into another copy of itself into that, and then use the add back effect if we wanted to split them up. So we can add back the Transcendence, and then from here we'll go ahead and link this off into a copy of Balinks, and then link all 4 of these into a copy of the Pyro Phoenix, just like that. And then we can set the Transcendence, the Roar, and have a Gazelle in our hand for next turn. So if they try to start establishing a field, we can negate, and if they go any further, we can quickly link into another copy of Pyro Phoenix, activate its effect, and simultaneously be able to even like probably chain link block it with the Gazelle. So chain link 1, chain link 2. Send a card, blow up their whole field, and etc., etc., go from there. So just a quick little neat way to get into Pyro Phoenix. Like I said, Pyro Phoenix is a card I usually go into turn 3. It's not really a turn 1 card in my opinion, although you play it like one and spring it on them like a turn 1 card, sort of like a trap. But usually I like it better for turn 3, in theory, just being a better card to, finish up the game with burn damage, or be able to try to break an already established field as opposed to having them run into it. I think it works better that way. So I'm going to go ahead and pile shuffle here, and we'll go ahead and do a random test hand. Alright, so the deck has been shuffled. We'll go ahead and split the deck and draw into 5 cards here and see what we can make work. We got Rage, Spinny, Will, and a copy of Jack Jaguar. So alright, so for a hand like this, it looks pretty grim, but there's definitely some plays we can make do here. Granted, we still have Rage to be able to put up a great amount of defense, and we also have Ash to follow suit if we, want to survive the turn. These cards will definitely help out. But I think first things first, I would probably start by normaling the Jack Jaguar, because we can't get it engrave any other way, like we can Spinny. So I'd go Jack Jaguar for Balinks, link that off into the grave, and go ahead and add our field spell. Can I find the field spell? There it is. Always looking for that one-of field spell. Now at this point, we can go ahead and pitch the Spinny, and then we can play Will of the Salamangreat, use Will to reborn the Spinny, and then link these 2 off into a copy of Sunlight Wolf. Then we can play the field spell, and from here we can link off again using the field spell to go into another copy of Sunlight Wolf. We can use Jack Jaguar to put back the Sunlight Wolf, add back a fire monster like Spinny, and we have a live Rage. We can set that. We could link this off into a second Balinks if we really wanted to. And just that's really all we can do right there. It's not looking that great, but it's definitely better than nothing with such a grim hand that we open. Will definitely making it better. But in some cases, will make our bad hands worse. But this is an example where I think playing 3 Will is like a necessary evil. Like you just need that extra reborn power to be able to get into your plays. And next turn, we're drawing what looks to be a copy of Roar, which is not that great. Man, there's really not much we can do after that. We kind of got to survive on the Rage. We can pop 2. We have an Ash to negate something. We have Monster Reborn on our field next turn to be able to keep sort of stalling until we draw into better cards. But yeah, this is a hand that drawing something like Flame Buffalo would have been like really good, but unfortunately we didn't see it. We didn't see any Signet Mining's, Desires, Upstart, anything like that. But yeah, it is what it is. We were still able to end on a pretty defensive board nonetheless. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed my little take on Salamangreat this month. Trying to play the Pyro Phoenix and Transcendence, just having some fun with that. But yeah, tons of different ways you can play this deck. Tried to make it somewhat competitive as possible with the hand traps and the trap lineup, and also throwing in some spice there with the Pyro Phoenix. So hope you guys enjoyed. As always, guys, don't forget to check out Imperium Duelist and my TCG player link down in the description below. And I hope you guys having a good one. As always, want to kill sign out. We'll see you guys in the next one.